Hello and welcome to another episode of Mike and Dave's Hi-Fi Riff. I'm Mike Evans.
And I'm David Price.
And David, on this week's riff, what are we going to be talking about?
We're going to be talking about the Synthesis Roma 69 DC DAC mic.
Am I forgiven for not knowing anything at all about this company?
No.
Okay.
Although I didn't until fairly recently.
Well, that makes me forgiven without a doubt, because if you don't until recently, what chance have I got?
I hold you to higher standards than myself, Mike. So,
yes,
knowing what a great all-round guy you are, you should be doing things better than me.
Clearly a huge mistake off the bat to start with.
Yeah.
Excellent. So look, Synthesis Roma.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what we know about it.
We know...
Well, what you know, because I know nothing. We know we've got one. We know we've got one here.
Crikey.
It's another sort of interesting form factor, actually, isn't it? It's another sort of half-size deep box.
Yeah.
So quite heavy?
Catch. No.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to...
We don't want to destroy this
your name.
live on... Yeah, exactly. Don't want to destroy this live on, on Hi-Fi Riff. So this is a DAC, and it's a heavy DAC, as you can probably tell, and it's made in Italy. It's designed and made in Italy, the land of your Fiat X19, Mike.
Hence the Roma bit,
yes.
Presumably. Yes, my Fiat X19, that was a great car. That was probably the best car I've ever had.
Yes.
Actually.
Well, that's not saying much.
That really hurt.
So I didn't actually mean that. I just said it as a gag.
I had a 1.3L Capri.
You did?
There we are. I've had some classic motors
that says,
in my time.
That says so much about you, Bob.
It does. We were saying the other day about this, weren't we? Yeah. I was saying how the 1.3L Capri was the most uneconomical car I've ever owned because it just had this huge ton of metal to cut around, but
with the lawnmower engine.
With the lawnmower engine, yes. Yeah.
So,
I'm assuming there's more under the bonnet here with the Roma than there was in my Capri.
I would say it's got a greater output power than your Ford Capri 1.3.
Yeah.
So anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted, trying to tell you all about this interesting product. Synthesis is, I think it was founded by Luigi Lorenzon. Apologies to anyone who speaks Italian for my pronunciation.
I was going to say he's definitely Italian, without a doubt.
So in 1992, the company started, and they are currently imported into the UK by Henley Audio.
Yes, okay.
Down the road, Henley are quite close to us, aren't they?
They are indeed. They are.
A good bunch of guys.
Really good bunch of guys, actually. Yeah, good shout out to Henley.
And girls,
great,
not to be sexist.
To be fair, they've been great supporters of Hi-Fi Riff as well.
Yes.
So thank you, everyone at
Henley.
Henley.
It's only because you keep annoying them.
I do annoy them a little bit. I do annoy them.
So,
but they've given us some interesting products to review and listen to.
Well, this is definitely, I think, a very interesting product. So we have been rambling on too much about Chord Electronics DACs and
being criticised for it as well.
Absolutely, by the people in the comments. Now, the people in the comments, some of them are starting to get quite rude.
Yes, yes, very actually. So, yes, I mean, there's a limit to what we can take, and it's a good limit as well.
And I think that limit was reached.
It was
in the comments for the. What was it?
It was the B&W speakers we reviewed recently. Yes.
Yeah.
And should we? I don't know if I want to actually say what we were called because I don't want it to go any further. Really.
Okay.
Yes. Right. Okay. We'll leave it at that, shall we?
But there's rudeness and there's rudeness.
Yes.
And we're fine with rudeness, but real rudeness. It was quite funny though.
If somebody says we're going to be compared to two pop stars, these probably wouldn't be the two pop stars I'd be hoping for. No. Shall we just say that?
Yes, although I did like Bad Manners. So and you used to drink a lot of Special Brew as well, didn't you, Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Pop.
Okay.
So, if we're going to continue with the drinks analogy.
All right. Well, let's not go any further.
No.
Although he did write China Girl for David Bowie, didn't he?
I think there was something in there, wasn't there?
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. Anyway. You got the long straw there.
Okay, well, have a look in the comments, viewers, for
Yes.
the for the BMW.
And if I find him, I'm going to kill him.
Okay. So moving swiftly on.
Yes,
And
yes.
sorry, Luigi Lorenzon in Italy, for kind of going a bit off topic. But this is a lovely DAC. I really like this DAC.
You do.
We ramble on
do.
about Chord Electronics all the time, blah blah, woof woof, and everyone knows we like them. But this is £2,500.
And it's got a bit of an unusual USP.
Yes, well, it's kind of I wouldn't say it's the most radical in any particular way, but it has a couple of things that make it interesting to me. Apart from being kind of handmade in Italy and sort of being quite a sort of interesting looking piece, if you could say that. They do offer this has got an aluminium fascia, but they do offer a kind of wood version.
Do they?
So like a Triumph Spitfire dashboard.
Very cool.
So yeah. So it has. Well, first it's got a valve output stage.
Which is pretty off the wall, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got a digital device with a valve output stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yin and yang, as it were.
Let me just try and figure out what. It's one ECC88 per channel, so that
I'm assuming that Valvies out there will know exactly what that means. Peter Farrows of the world.
Yeah, it's sort of small
from English Acoustics.
Small sort of preamp valve, but
Yes.
nothing too weird. You could probably roll it and try all kinds of exotic versions of it, I should think.
Yeah.
That in itself, it makes it an interesting product. But there have been some valve preamps and valve DACs and so on that I've heard, which kind of sort of basically the valve output stage hides a really rubbish DAC, if that makes any sense.
Yes, sure.
But this isn't one of them. This has got an Asahi Kasei AK4495 EQ DAC chip.
That's a really weird DAC.
That's one of your favourites, I know.
Yes, Asahi's one of my favourites as well, but we're not talking DACs in this case. So.
Yeah, so if you kind of get really into geek level, sort of not beginner geek, but sort of grandmaster geek level, then thank you very much. I am told, because I'm not in that level,
you
obviously. So I'm told by my grandmaster geek level DAC people that's a really cool DAC chip. So basically, so many designs these days have got ESS Sabre type stuff, haven't they? And it's all a very good chip, but the AK, the Asahi Kasei stuff is in the industry, in the trade, it's got very, very highly regarded, I'd say.
But there's a thing here, isn't there? Because I didn't think you could get them anymore.
Yeah, well, me too. So I know they had a big fire over the lockdown period, which may have certainly hurt supplies for a while. I don't know if they're being made anymore, but I presume that as these are still being made, the manufacturer bought a whole load of them.
Yeah.
But
we just stashed the DACs.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So, but I do know that several manufacturers had these DACs inside their products and had to redesign their products because they couldn't get them anymore.
Yes. And actually, probably, unfortunately, didn't sound as good because this is a particularly lovely DAC, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's a reason why.
Absolutely.
It's a cult DAC, isn't it?
Yeah. So, it's kind of like a TD 1541 Philips, the sort of the old 16-bit 4 times oversampling. It's something that
which
people,
we saw in the Sugden.
We did.
DAC.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And indeed heard.
And heard it. Yes, in fact. So, yeah.
But so basically, this is, to me, it's interesting. This product is interesting because it's got a slightly unusual DAC, given that most DACs don't use that chip anymore, or indeed ever. And it's also got a valve output stage, and it's handmade in Italy by a kind of quite small sort of boutique type company. It's got quite interesting styling, and it's $2,500. And obviously that's not cheap, but we use a lot the Chord Hugo TT2, don't we?
Yes.
Which is
$4,000.
It's
expensive. Yeah. Big bucks.
Absolutely, it's big bucks. And, you know, people are always going on, well, why do you keep going on about that? You know, why don't you find some you know, cheaper ones?
And here we are.
And indeed, here we are.
Yeah.
So, would you like to show the viewers the you-know-what?
Well, do you know, can I just say to you, last time we reviewed a DAC, that you put a timer on me for how long it would be before I looked at the sockets in the back. I've been sitting here so...
Desperate.
Restrained was the word I was going to use.
Yeah.
You can choose desperate if you want to.
Yeah.
Yes. So look, let's do the decent thing here. Let's start at the back. Here we go. We've got lots and lots of juicy stuff here. So we have unbalanced line out in terms of two phonos. USB in. USB A in. I think isn't it? Is it USB A? I always get that one wrong.
Is that USB B?
Is it? Oh, it's B, isn't it?
Yeah.
I always get the square one wrong. Anyway, USB in, so you can plug your phone into it. Couple of opticals, couple of coaxials, and an optical digital output.
Yep.
Again, always handy.
Why that's optical and not coax is beyond me, but there you go.
And whether you'd use it or not,
whether you'd use
I don't know.
it,
You're right. It's flipping heavy, isn't it?
It is.
It really is heavy.
And it's got a lovely kind of shiny rear panel as well.
It's really nice. Yeah.
They kind of spent money on that. Even the rear panel has got to look good.
You can tell it's sort of hand built in Italy, can't you? There's a couple of slightly quirky things.
Yeah.
For example, the input selector is massively recessed, so you can only just get to the top of it. Sort of reminds me sort of like a heating control on a Ferrari or something.
Well, there's the sort of navigation button, as it were, and that's basically almost need a kind of extension length socket set to get into that.
You do. Do you remember used to have sort of little switches which you'd need a ballpoint pen to operate, which are it's just like that, isn't it?
It's almost like
a tiny little things, so it's quirky, to say the least. When we reviewed the Sugden recently, that kind of felt a little more premium with its controls. But I still really like this. This is a great bit of kit, and sonically, it's actually really, really beguiling to listen to, isn't it? So for me particularly, I thought it had a really gorgeous mid-range, really stunning mid-range. If you wanted to be picky, then maybe it's just a little bit out of control in the bottom end, but compared to a more expensive DAC.
Compared to the $4,000 Chord, it's looser at the bottom end, isn't it?
It is. But the mid-range in this I thought was stunning. I thought it was really, really good.
It is.
So, and I think that sort of yin and yang between the digital side and the tube side actually works really well. Actually works really well. This is the first tube DAC I've heard.
Is it?
By the way. It is. I haven't heard another one before. So I was quite really keen to hear it, and I wasn't disappointed at all. Really good. Good price point as well. Isn't it?
$2,500. So I mean, you said to me, well, I'd have the Chord, and the Chord is £1,500 more, and I was trying to say, well, imagine you could only afford $2,500, which in both our cases at the moment is we don't need to imagine very hard.
No, true.
But I mean, okay, we've got access to the Chord TT2, and then we've got that, and the Chord sounds clearly better, I would say, doesn't it? But at the same time, that is very impressive for its price. And it has a slightly different sound to the Chord in a number of ways. So, firstly, I think the bass is slightly gloopy. It's not obviously it's not kind of over full particularly, but it's always there, and it has a slight kind of
that's the valve.
Padding.
Surely that's the valve side.
Absolutely, yeah, I think so. It sounds kind of padded in the bass, and that is not a bad thing necessarily. It depends on your system, doesn't it?
Yes, I think so. Yes,
So we've been listening to the new musical fidelity LS35As, and we'll be reviewing those soon. And I would say that would not be unwelcome to have a little slightly well upholstered, bass.
No, I agree. I agree.
So the sorry.
No, I was just going to say, but also we were listening to it with the new acoustic energy speakers, weren't we?
Yeah, the Coriniums.
Coriniums, which we really like. And the Coriniums are. How would you describe them in the sort of bass region?
They're pretty strong and deep and well extended.
Yes.
And they have a, it depends obviously what's driving them, but possibly it was less successful with the Coriniums than it was with the LS358s.
I agree. I would totally agree with that.
But also I would say that the tube output stage isn't like a kind of loudness button. It doesn't make it boom massively. It just slightly adds a little bit of extra, kind of padding there. So that's kind of a good and a bad thing. And I think in this context it works nicely. But the DAC chip itself, the Asahi Kasei DAC chip is it's very musical, especially in the midband, as you say, isn't it?
It's really nice.
And it's
really nice.
Yeah.
And it's a foot tapping DAC.
It is.
No two ways about
Definitely.
it.
Yeah.
Sorry, you just made me smile there. I haven't thought about a loudness button in a long time.
Yeah.
I used to have a radio cassette player with a loudness button.
Yeah.
Used to be the thing, didn't it? Used to boost the bass at low volume.
Yeah. But those days are gone. That was last year, Mike, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Perhaps Sugden will put one on their amp again, living in the era they do. Yeah. But no. Back to the Roma. This is really cool.
Yeah.
And I'd say really strong contender for one of the best DACs you can get under £2,500.
Definitely so. I mean, for me, it's that or the Sugden. But obviously, the Roma has a modern chipset and will do sort of 32-bit 384, I think. For your high res, absolutely does all the sort of high res stuff. Whereas the Sugden, as you'll find if you watch our riff whenever that comes out,
tops out at 16 bits.
Yeah, it's not quite so universal.
No.
But to me, the joy of this particular DAC is that I can see it working well with kind of more budget systems. So more kind of, when I say budget, I mean mid-price, but I'm not talking 10 grand speakers here. I'm talking sort of 2.5 grand. Some of those systems can sound a little bit sort of thin tonally and so on. And this add a little bit of warmth to that. And at the same time, the DAC itself is musically engaging. It's fun and it's expressive, and
it worked really well with a good sort of streamer as a front end, or a CD transport, or maybe even your mobile phone.
Absolutely. So, well, we were playing a number of tunes, but here's my ancient DSD SACD of Human League, popular beat combo mic.
They were.
From Sheffield.
They were.
And
it sounded really good, actually.
Yeah.
I was really impressed.
Yeah, so there you go.
I'm really impressed.
So,
and we played a trio from Canada who I can't remember what they're called as well.
I've never heard of them.
No. So, Hurry or something.
Made a very good job of everything, but absolutely.
Really good. So a good DAC, really good DAC. Let's do a riffometer on this, shall we?
So I'm going to give it a 9. I really like it for the price. I really like it. It's not the best DAC in the world, but it's a nice bridge, for example, between the Chord Cutest and the TT2 Hugo TT2 in terms of price and performance. And it's kind of just a little bit exotic. It's just got a slightly different feel to it than so many of the other sort of DACs around. I think it's well worth listening to if you can.
Do you know, that's a really interesting point, and sort of a bit of full disclosure here. You've had a week or two of just listening to an awful lot of DACs, haven't you?
Yeah.
And I think this has been a bit of a standout, hasn't it? It's been a cracker.
I've been listening to all kinds of stuff in the last few weeks and doing lots of lug hole work, as it were.
Yeah.
And I think that this is definitely worth investigating. It's kind of a best kept secret in a way.
Yeah, I like it.
Not an awful lot of people will know about it, but I would definitely say if you can hear it, if you're in looking at that sort of price range.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I really like it too. I'm going to give it a 9 as well, because I think it's great, and I'm totally with you on it. I think it's a superb bit of kit. Yeah. I've got to say it would be a toss up for me between this and Sugden, which we reviewed. But obviously, if you're certainly into high res, there's no debate. This
is a more universal product.
Yes.
Sugden is much more focused at a certain, uber geek level of person, and the Sugden is more of a Rottweiler in its kind of sound quality.
Yeah.
This is a little bit more kind of balanced, and a kind of do everything very well type of thing.
Yeah, very good, very good. Well, there we are. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching this episode of Mike and Dave's Hi-Fi Riff. we'll see you at the next one. Bye.
Bye.